I think I resonated most with the justifications for procrastination, and like the fourth and fifth one where they're like, you're waiting for a moment to tell you you want to do it, and like you have that inspiration.
Right, that's huge. Right? We procrastinate, moving on to procrastination, because oftentimes we're waiting to feel inspired to do the thing. And sometimes the thing, do you ever have it where you have to write bills and laws and things like that, right? You have to like, do you ever have it where you don't feel like it, but there's a whole constituent, there's a whole bunch of people counting on you. But for whatever reason, all the stuff going on in life, we don't feel, or something else that's more enticing or more stimulating.
Yeah. It's interesting because sometimes, like, we've got this saying that we say in our office, you got to write an op-ed or something like that. Let it age a little bit, like it's a wine or something, let it age. And so this is where you got to, like, know whether you're procrastinating or this is all part of the creative process of like, let me just kind of chew on this a little bit more before I do it. Let me go do something else. Now, this is where you start getting the deeper levels of this. Am I just procrastinating, or am I just want to think about a few more things and just kind of chill out and see what, you got clay on the wheel and you just want to see, what direction you want to go in. So I find procrastination for myself is if there's some conflict, that tough conversation that and that enjoy law school because the older you get, the more of these tough conversations you have to have with people. And they all suck and they never get any better. And I find that's my big thing that like I would need to work on is I got a tough conversation with Scott. God, I just don't want to have it. I see calls, go to voicemail. Not that I've ever done that to you, Scott. And so you just, you've really got to become more and more aware of what are those motivations that are happening inside your own heart and mind that are leading to your behavior, and that's why this practice is so powerful, because I don't know if it was Socrates or Aristotle, know thyself. This is all about knowing, like, internally what's going on inside you so that you can then say, okay, this is Tim, he doesn't like conflict, so he's not going to have that conversation. And then once you learn that, you say, screw it, just give me the phone, I'll call him, and we'll get this over with. And you're always glad you did anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Can you all relate to the experience of not wanting to have that interaction for any of a variety of reasons? And you talk about how the mindfulness practice can be helpful because, and this is where the rubber meets the road in terms of how it is that we bring this practice into our lives fully. If we start just thinking about, oh, there's this person and this and I don't want to do it, the thinking's not going to have us easily immerse in that experience and make the call. We can start to notice because of that, you say conflict, it's like that speaks to a physiological discomfort, that speaks to an agitatedness in the thoughts that we're having of worry or, and so in those moments, what can we do? Something that we'll do in a moment as we sort of conclude this first half of our time together. What can we do in the moments that we find ourselves aversive to something? Rather than just avert or over-engage, perhaps. What might we do in that moment in between making that decision? I love what you said about, is it procrastination or is it letting something mature and refine itself and percolate a little bit more because it's still inchoate, it's still not yet fully formed. How can we tell the difference? I think that agitation is one of those keys. So what do we do in those moments that you find yourself, oh, I don't want to be there. I don't want to be here for this. What do you do?
Ask yourself why.
We can ask ourselves why, but let's go deeper. Let's make it not, that's a nice question. It's an important question. But sometimes we're not necessarily ready to answer that question. We're still caught in or what we come up with sounds good, but isn't necessarily as germane and authentic as it could be. What can we do in those moments?
One thing I think it kind of, it's similar to this idea of fear. If we're aware that it's really just the fear of doing this thing, like having this conversation is what's really bothering us, and if we just suck it up and do it, we're going to feel a lot better, and we'll find that we feared this thing for really no reason. Like, I have to write this 3-page paper, I don't want to do it. If I just suck it up now and do it, I'm gonna feel a hell of a lot better tomorrow and gonna say, well, you know, it was the worst part about the whole thing was just fearing it.
Absolutely, but again, your life, you're coaching yourself through that.
Mhm.
You're intellectually priming yourself to have the fortitude to move into that space. Oftentimes in those moments, they're not like these moments. What would I do? You know, I'll ponder it, what would I do? Just go ahead and do it because I'll feel better afterward. Easier said than done. So what is it that this class at its essence is about? That we do, that we can bring into those moments when we find ourselves caught. Yeah?
We could turn on our insight timer and do breathing
We can
exercise.
practice. That's right, we can practice. So let us practice, shall we? Let us bring ourselves into a posture that's upright and stable. As we lower or close our eyes, whichever we prefer. For mindfulness has many forms.